There's a dog sitting in someone's lap right now, being carried through a grocery store parking lot, tucked under an arm at a family gathering, barking at a dog 3 times its size like it has absolutely no idea. And someone nearby is rolling their eyes, muttering something about how small dogs are crazy, or aggressive, or so annoying. But here's what that person doesn't understand. That dog isn't misbehaving. That dog is responding, very precisely, very logically, to the exact world it has learned to live in. And once you understand what that world actually feels like from inside a 10-pound body, everything changes. Let's start with the nervous system. Because before we talk about behavior, we need to talk about baseline. Every dog operates from some resting level of alertness, a background hum of awareness that determines how quickly they respond to the world. For many small dogs, that baseline is set higher, not because something is wrong with them, but because the world genuinely presents itself differently at their size. A person walking toward you, a door swinging open, another dog approaching. At 20 pounds, these things look different than they do at 80 pounds. They're larger, faster, closer, more sudden. And because consequences escalate faster when you're small, because you have less time, less mass, less physical recourse, the nervous system adapts. It learns to anticipate, to react before fully assessing, to bark before something gets too close, because waiting has a higher cost. This is not overreaction, this is calibration. What looks like going from 0 to 100 is actually a dog that was never at 0. They were already at 40, already scanning, already tracking. The trigger didn't create the response. It just crossed a threshold that was already there. Now, here's where it gets more complicated, because the nervous system is only part of the story. The other part is what happens between small dogs and the humans who love them. Small dogs are carried, held during thunderstorms, picked up the moment something feels uncertain, brought into environments they didn't choose, tucked close, kept near. On the surface, this looks like affection. And it is. It genuinely is. But underneath the affection, something is being quietly taught. The dog is learning. Safety isn't something I navigate, it's something I receive. Regulation doesn't come from within me, it comes from contact with you. The world isn't something I move through independently. It's something I experience through you. And over time, through hundreds of repetitions, thousands of moments of being picked up instead of walked through, a psychological pattern takes root. Not affection, dependency. The dog stops developing its own relationship with the environment because it never had to. You were always there. You always solved it. You always lifted them above the threat. And so, the attachment deepens past love and into something closer to merger. Their regulation becomes yours. Their safety becomes you. Their entire internal world gets organized around your proximity. This is why small dogs often seem so intense, why they follow you from room to room, why your absence doesn't just disappoint them, it destabilizes them. They're not dramatic, they're dependent, and the dependency was built one loving gesture at a time. There's a third factor, and this one is the most overlooked: structure, or more precisely, the absence of it. Think about the behaviors we allow in small dogs that we would never allow in large ones. Jumping on people, tolerated because they're small. Barking at guests, dismissed because it's kind of funny. Guarding a lap, laughed off, because what are they actually going to do? The consequences are lower, so the boundaries are softer, or absent entirely. But from the dog's perspective, something different is happening. They're not experiencing freedom. They're experiencing a world without legible rules. And in a world without rules, behavior gets shaped by something simpler. What works? Barking worked, so bark more. Guarding worked, so guard more. Clinging worked, so cling more. These aren't choices. They're not personality. They are learned effectiveness. The dog is not being difficult. The dog has simply discovered, through direct experience, which behaviors produce results. And they repeat them, and repeat them, and repeat them, until what started as a moment becomes a pattern, and what started as a pattern becomes what everyone calls just how they are. There's a phrase that gets used a lot: small dog syndrome. It's meant to describe the barking, the bravado, the outsized attitude from an undersized animal. But the word syndrome implies something is wrong with the dog, a malfunction, a flaw. What the science actually describes is something different: What's often labeled small dog syndrome is compensatory behavior. It's what happens when an animal can't rely on physical presence to manage the world. A large dog can communicate through sheer mass. They don't always need to bark. Their presence is the statement. A small dog doesn't have that option. So they develop other tools: vocal intensity, quickness, assertiveness, noise. Not because they're aggressive, but because their threat assessment is real, and their response options are limited. I cannot control what happens if the situation escalates, so I need to control whether it escalates. What looks like attitude is often preemptive management. What looks like dominance is often anxiety. What looks like aggression is often a dog trying to stay safe in the only way it knows how. And then there's the mirror, because one of the most profound things about small dogs, the thing that explains so much, is how deeply they track you. Not just your words, not just your movements, your tone, your tension, the way your shoulders sit, the quality of your breath, the speed of your gestures. Small dogs who are highly bonded, kept close, carried often. These dogs become extraordinarily sensitive to human internal states. They don't just live with you, they calibrate to you. And because they are often undertrained, because they haven't been given the structure that would help them separate their state from yours, they don't just notice your anxiety, they absorb it, amplify it, express it. This is why some small dogs seem more reactive around certain people, more tense in certain homes, more dysregulated when their owner is going through something hard. They're not reacting to the world. They're reacting to you reacting to the world. You are their emotional environment, and they are living inside it completely. So, when you step back, when you look at all of it together, the higher baseline alertness, the proximity-based dependency, the absence of structure, the compensatory noise, the mirroring of human emotional states, you don't see a difficult dog, you see a coherent system. High awareness, close attachment, low structure, those three things combined produce almost every behavior people complain about in small dogs. Every bark, every snap, every anxious shadow following you from room to room. These aren't character flaws. They are logical outputs of a specific set of inputs. Here's what the research and the trainers and the behaviorists keep finding. When you change the inputs, the outputs change. When a small dog is given clear, consistent structure, opportunities to navigate the world on its own 4 feet, boundaries that are actually held, a calm nervous system to mirror instead of an anxious one, the behavior shifts, sometimes dramatically, sometimes within days. Because underneath the reactivity and the barking and the clinginess, there was never a broken dog. There was a dog responding precisely and intelligently to the conditions of its life. Change the conditions. The dog changes with them. The small dog sitting in someone's lap right now isn't crazy. They're not aggressive. They're not a bad dog. They're a very alert animal who learned that the world is unpredictable, that safety comes from one specific person, and that noise is the most reliable tool they have. They learned all of that from the life they were given. And if you understand that, really understand it, then you don't see a difficult dog anymore. You see a dog doing exactly what it was taught, and you start asking a different question. Not, what's wrong with this dog? But, what would this dog be if we gave it something different? The answer, almost always, is more than anyone expected. And if this video helped you understand the canine mind just a little better, don't forget to like and subscribe. There are still so many secrets left to uncover.